Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. What is going on, Clint Nation? Happy Friday to you. We got Friday Night Lights because both of the lights are on here in the studio. This is a show that is part of the Believe Network podcast, and on today's show is a whole lot to talk about because it was the non-tender deadline, the 2024-2025 non-tender deadline. Dodgers stayed busy. We got a Brent Honeywell update, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Gavin Lux, a whole bunch of things we'll get in there. Kevin's back. We've got the news dump with Kevin, and we've got rumors, Juan Soto contract talk, what his contract demands were they revealed today. We'll get into that. Walker Buehler, is he going to be a Yankee at some point? We hope not. There's Cody Bellinger trade talk out there, and you can't not talk about Cody Bellinger trade talk when it is out and about in the world. But all that is coming up on this edition of All Dodgers Live. Before we get into it, my name is Clint Pasillas. Find me as Real FRG on the Twitter, on the Instagram. That guy is Skinner7Kevin on the Twitter. Do you Instagram? You don't really Instagram much, right?
No, I've never had an Instagram.
Smart play.
I don't take pictures. There's no reason. I hate pictures, so.
Oh, but he'll take a pretty picture. Guys, sound off in the comments below. Let us know where you're representing your Dodgers fandom tonight. Again, we're just hanging out here. It's a Friday night. We got I don't know. Are you drinking yet? Where are you at? What's your status? Because I just started.
All I have is a screwdriver, Phillips head.
So we're not fixing. We're not fixing things.
Yeah, this is. Nope. No, we're not fixing things. That's all I got for tonight. Nothing crazy. Got back from the vet not too long ago, so couldn't imbibe prior. Yeah, couldn't imbibe prior to. But the fiance is out. She's celebrating her friend's birthday, so I'm sure she's having a good time drinking for the both of us.
Hey, listen, we appreciate fiance Kevin going out partying on your part and you partying as well. Diane's in the chat. Denny Cortez in the chat. I saw Victor's in the chat. BC, Richard in the chat. Everybody hanging out with us on this fine Friday night. Daniel Berry Sports. Brian Diaz in the chat. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? How we feeling? Michael Carrillo getting right to the nitty gritty of it, asking how many roster spots do the Dodgers have. So let's get into it now, or we'll have this be the big ticket today. I'll take it back from Dodgers territory for today. But yeah, it was the non-tender deadline today. It has come and gone. Unsurprisingly, Zach Logue, who is a guy that was on the 40-man roster, he is non-tendered because the Dodgers do need roster spots. And also we'll call it the sad one, the more sad one. Brent Honeywell Jr., the turtleneck. Saw somebody in there saying, fear the turtleneck. The man of the screwball was non-tendered. So as of this moment, he is not a Dodger World Series hero, not a Dodger. The Dodgers agreed to 1-year deals with Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin, and the other players that were arbitration eligible, or not even arbitration eligible, but pre-arb and arbitration eligible: Gavin Lux, Michael Kopech, Evan Phillips, Anthony Bonda, Alex Vesia, Bruce Dark Gratterall. All of those, according to Bill Plunkett, OC Register, Southern California News Group, all of those people, those players have been tendered contracts. They will be Dodgers in 2025, unless there's a trade happening. So to answer the question that Carrillo had, 36 players currently on the 40-man. But the big one we'll dive into right now, Brent Honeywell Jr. Emotionally, it's a tough one to see because of how much the numbers weren't sexy. They were not pretty in the World Series, but understanding what he brought to the team in the World Series is what makes it painful, is what makes it tough. Honeywell, thoughts, reactions. What's the first thing you thought of, or you guys had, particularly you, Kevin, because I'm talking to you. How do you feel when you see, not Anthony Bonda, but Brent Honeywell non-tendered?
It's not surprising. It was expected for the most part. He can still come back. For anybody who's worried that he could be gone forever, there's a chance he comes back. But it was expected, but it's still sad. He, in the regular season, pitched very, very well in a variety of roles. With as many pitching injuries as this team, suffered through in 2024, having a guy that you could reasonably rely on pretty much every few days to give you some good quality innings, that's huge. That's huge at getting yourself to October with the goal of being healthy. Obviously, on the pitching side, they kind of weren't, but he did his best. And then in the postseason, yeah, I know BC JR was saying that he's glad Honeywell is gone. He was talking as if he stepped up like Eovaldi in 2018. No, the numbers weren't sexy.
No.
But what he did was basically lay his right arm on the line and say, "Hey, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to get us the 3 outs. If it's 50 pitches, it's 50 pitches." Like, that's asking a lot of any pitcher, let alone a guy that was basically on a minor league contract to come back first year with the team. There's the story that Muncy told about getting some of the players right, even when Honeywell wasn't on the DS roster. Just those kind of contributions can't be overstated. They're huge to the success of this team in the postseason, and we saw it from Mookie Betts with his best postseason, arguably in a Dodgers uniform, over a 900 OPS. They don't get past the DS without Mookie Betts, let alone win a World Series. And you can attribute a large part of that to Brent Honeywell again saying, "Hey man, I'm not on the roster, but again, I'll throw as much live bullpen as you need. I'll give you game action out there." And he doesn't have to do that. So
I love that. He was like, "Go out there, hit me. I want you to hit me so you feel good." One quick pause, because we got to do this within a certain amount of time in the podcast. I do got to tell you guys about Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to wave your arms and watch games as they happen. I felt very John Mulaney right there. But with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, MMA, head to Bet Online today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted online wagering. Of course, you got to be able to do that in your area. But check it out, Bet Online. The game starts here, and we backtrack to Brent Honeywell. Yeah, Honeywell was one of those dudes, as we have a super chat from Richie Flores here, $4.99 from Richie. Thank you very much. Richard says, "Good front offices use research as a tool during the offseason. We know the meaning of tool. Sincerely, Tatis Jr., Manny, Juan Soto, F the Padres." A little bit of fun there. We got breaking news as well from Kevin Skinner on the Slack. We'll get to that in just a second, but I want to finish up this Honeywell talk. Honeywell was one of those guys. You got to have, I saw somebody in the chat saying, he's a dog for life. Denny Cortez saying Honeywell did what was asked of him without complaining. That's commendable. If anything, he went, above and beyond of what was asked for him. He threw himself out there. He was the guy who said, like I was just saying before, the ad read there, he wanted Mookie Betts to feel good just throwing him. I think Dave Vassay asked him, "Did you throw him any those screwballs?" Like, nah, I threw him fastballs. I want him to fucking hit it. I said, hit that shit out of here. That shit gets you going. That's the type of shit. And you got to have those vibe guys in the bullpen. The dogs, we know there was a bunch of vibes guys in there. Brent Honeywell, 1,000% a Dodger for life. And if this is the end of the line for Brent Honeywell as a Dodger, and I saw somebody in the chat saying, the World Series bonus is going to be more than, his share is going to be more than he's made in his big league career, which is, probably fully accurate.
Find out.
He has cemented himself a legacy. He's going to be one of those guys that, he might have a career in this league. He might still eventually be a Dodger down the road. But when we flash back 10-year anniversary of this team, 20-year, 40-year, if he's alive, he's going to be here, and we're going to love to see Brent Honeywell. And he's going to be one of those dudes that just shows up to the alumni events. I feel this down in my bones. This postseason built him in a career after baseball. Much like I talked to Oral Hershiser about on Dodgers territory, something he had said on his old podcast off air with Joe and Oral. There was a lot of people on that 88 team that weren't superstars. They weren't great players. They weren't going to have the best careers, the most long, they weren't going to have a lot of longevity in baseball. But you win that World Series, it changes your life. Brent Honeywell changed our lives a little bit, and he absolutely changed his life, even with an 8 ERA or whatever it was in the postseason. But like you said, it doesn't necessarily close the door. He can re-up on a minor league deal. This makes it so the Dodgers didn't have to pass him through waivers to get him off the 40-man. So if I'm Brent Honeywell, I still go out and try to find myself an opportunity for a big league role. But I don't know. Like, put the emotion back into it. If you're in Brent Honeywell's shoes, put on your turtleneck right now, Kevin. Do you take a minor league deal knowing that at some point this team is going to need you again?
I don't think so. I think a guy like Honeywell, career earning $2.8 million in a little over 2 years. I think, World Series players get paid, and he's a huge contributing factor. I can't wait when somebody asks me, 20 years from now, name a random Dodger. Brent Honeywell is going to be the first guy I think of, because he's that guy. I think if you're Brent Honeywell, get your bag. Just, if a team is willing to give you $8 million over 2 years, that's more than the Dodgers are going to offer him. You know what I mean? Like, something that might be high. That might be rich even for him. But still, if a team is willing to do that, to have him be a long man, and he pitched some good leverage innings with the Dodgers this year. So it's not like he can't do it. If he has that opportunity, I absolutely think he should take it, because he's got his ring now. A lot of players, don't have a ring. He's got one. He's cemented himself with the fan base already. At this point, if I'm Brent Honeywell, it's all gravy from here. Go get your money, have fun with it, do what you got, do the other things.
I agree with that.
Baseball players want to do.
Yeah, and 2-8 or whatever you're saying, I don't think he's going to get that big of a bag, because when you do look at the peripherals, he's not a big time strikeout guy. He's had injuries after injuries in his career. The counting stats, the important numbers were very good for him in Dodger blue, posting a 2.6 ERA or whatever, but FIP wasn't as friendly. There's a lot of numbers that say what we saw was a fair amount of smoke and mirrors, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, getting the job done is the most important part. And if he has this kind of like, we'll call it, it's not so much of a track record, but if he has, for lack of a better word, a track record of being like a dude, of being like a dog, other teams might want to get that and plug that into their somewhere into their pitching staff, whatever the role is. I'll say this, I will remove the emotion. Emotionally, it's a big hit, but before we move on, removing the emotion from it, he wasn't going to be one of the 12, 13, 15, 20th best pitchers on next season's roster. So he's kind of, at the end of the day, the cold baseball, world, the business side of it, he's just the next guy in a long line of people who show up. He's your next Mike Bolsinger, your John Eli's, your insert other names of various various emotion or excitement or vitriol here. He's just one of those guys. He'll come and he'll go, and we'll love him for the rest of our days. But even so, I did see in the chat from Diane Schroeder, we did not say this, I think, yet, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. We're trying to get to 8,500 subscribers. Hopefully, we can get to 10,000 subscribers by 20 minutes from now, but that probably won't happen. All right, the other, we'll call it a real news of the day. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin each agree to 1-year deals. I think they were, Tony was 5 point some odd million. I forgot to write down the numbers. Like it's a reasonable deal. And Gonsolin, Dustin May, it was, what was it, 2 point something, 2.3, 2.6. Again, extremely fair deals is the important thing here. No surprises with both these guys being tendered contracts. I will say this. I kind of wanted, because I find myself often dismissing Tony Gonsolin as an option. But when right now, if we're sitting here today, he is the number 3 starter on the opening day roster, which is frightening. And it's both terrifying and frightening. And I'll ask this, and this is, again, a question to everybody in the chat, but I'm going to ask it to Kevin first. Do you feel that we are sleeping on the Catman?
Yeah, just because even when he was good, I felt like we were sleeping on him.
Fair.
We were all just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. He kept having so much success without the good strikeout numbers. He was just mostly a ground ball guy, and he just kept getting out of jams. Like, you'd walk a guy, hit a single, second and third, no outs, and he'd just get out of it. And you kind of wonder, okay, could he keep doing this? Like, how much longer can he keep doing it? Can he do this? And he keeps going. He keeps doing it. He puts together a really good campaign in 2022. Now 2023 comes around, and he's terrible. But as we know, he was pitching probably without an elbow for the majority of that season, but he had to because in 2023 there were no pitchers. Like there was just nobody left. So they asked him to keep doing it, and he kept doing it. Are we sleeping on him? Yeah, for this reason, in my opinion. We've already seen he's been good in the past. Throw out last year's numbers because he pitched injured. Something that's pretty interesting, in my opinion, is even without an elbow last year, his four-seam fastball got better. He actually generated more arm side run with it. So it probably acted a little bit more like a two-seamer than it did like a true four-seam. And he did that with decreased velocity. Now, if you pair that with his normal split finger slider combination, he's got a pretty deadly arsenal all of a sudden. So if you kind of combine the good of last year with like his just normal self, with what his split finger can do, with what his slider can do, and let's not forget, they're nasty pitches. His split finger's one of the best in baseball. Yeah, like he could surprise a lot of people, and you don't want to go into the season with him as your number 3, but if you slot him in as the number 5 or 6 guy, because we know this team's going to be in a 6-man rotation, he could easily pitch like a number 3 and surprise a lot of people with potentially somewhat of a newfound repertoire.
Like G-Rob said here in the chat, that's one of the things I was going to say. If we're talking about not sleeping on Tony Gonsolin, this was a dude who was an all-star in 2022. Of course, you're saying last year. When Kevin's saying last year, he means 2023 stats. We are still in 2024. Obviously, Tony, he was kind of back towards the end of 2024. Did not get into games. He rehabbed. He could have been an option if ever fell off, but. Yeah, as a number 3 guy, there's a problem. If that's the guy that you enter the season, we could expand on that. We can kind of, and this season is a massive indicator of it as well. We know that the roster you have on opening day is not the same roster you have when it comes to the postseason. So even if he is the number 3 guy, Tony would only be the number 3 guy because Shohei Ohtani is not going to be ready to pitch for opening day or by opening day. Same with like a Clayton Kershaw, and then whatever other moves. Breaking news: the Dodgers will make some moves this offseason. They will add a starting pitching. We'll talk starting pitching a little bit later on in the show. We are going to talk the latest with Blake Snell, some Max Fried in there, and all that kind of stuff. So, guys, stay tuned. Be hanging out with us. But Cole says if he's honest, never cared for Gonsolin. Not sure why. Probably because of the cats. If you're a dog guy, Tony Gonsolin's not your man. But the cat man... Catman when he's healthy, he's got the ability to get some punch in there. Maybe now a little bit older, healthier. There'll be some more consistency on the bump with that. You're mentioning the curveball or is it slider and splitter combination?
Yeah, slider.
When he's also healthy, that fastball does trend up. The velo can be a little bit higher than when he's sitting there trying to keep his elbow together. So he's somebody like. He's an intriguing figure to have laying around. Now, if we're talking about, the other end of the coin there, of the 2 guys who came up in 2019, 2 guys who played pretty big roles for the team during the 2020 World Series run, you got Tony Gonsolin, who, of course, started Game 6 of the World Series for the Dodgers, did not win it, did not have a great game, but he did start that game. But the other guy, Dustin May, been a non-factor for this team now for a hot minute. But Dustin May, if he's right, if he's healthy, we know what he can do. We've seen the stuff. We've seen it. It's gross. Moves more than a military family. All of this shit is two-seamers, nastier than a porta potty at Burning Man, if they even have those there. But the problem is the dude can't get beyond 60 innings in a season. I don't know that in the long run. Listen, when we enter spring training, he will be building up to be a starting pitcher. But if they add Blake Snell, if let's say the Dodgers do bring back Walker Buehler, and you have some of these other guys, we talked about it on Discord earlier as well. Like the depth can be crazy if you add one guy and they also get Sasaki and Kershaw's back, Buehler's back. Then the depth starts getting I wouldn't say out of hand just because we saw what happened this year, but then it starts to be kind of difficult to find innings for some of these guys. So Dustin May, we keep talking about it. This eventually, and maybe we get through spring training, but eventually this will be the year Dustin May moves to a bullpen role full time. And it's the right spot for him. It lets him focus on 2 pitches, let them be as good as they can be. We've seen pitchers with 1 pitch, cutter guy, Kenley Jansen, it took him years to develop a slider. Yeah. Cutter guy, it took him years to develop a slider, and it became to okay towards the end of his career in Dodger Blue. Brusdar Graterol's mostly been a high 90s, 100-mile-an-hour fastball guy that induces weak contact. Sean Allen now. And now he does. Sean Allen, $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Says Dustin May in the bullpen. That's got to be the role. Steve also signed up for our Patreon recently. Appreciate Steve hanging out. May to the bullpen. It's got to be May bullpen season, right?
Yeah, I think so. One other reason is when we last saw him, he wasn't generating a lot of swing and miss, especially for how gross his stuff can be and how much he can throw, like how hard he can throw. Players were fouling off a lot of his pitches. They were generating, albeit weak contact, but they were still, putting the ball in play, which if you want to be efficient, that doesn't work because they're just fouling everything off. All of a sudden you're getting to 6-7 pitch at bats. Long story short, just to kind of tie this together, I think a bullpen role works best because they can tell him, hey, your best stuff are like these 3 pitches. Just work with those 3 pitches. Let's get some swing and miss. Let's get you to locate those 3 pitches. If he does well in the bullpen, hey, maybe in 2026, we'll bring you back as a starter once you've kind of learned what your arsenal can do. Mm-hmm. I think it would be a huge stepping stone for him. And I think he kind of needs it because for a guy with his quality of stuff, he should be punching guys out left and right, and he just doesn't do that. Yeah. So I think in short bursts, he can learn how to do that. Whereas right now, if they just throw him out as a starter, I think we're going to kind of see more of the same, which, it's always going to be fun to watch. It's pretty to watch because that thing just it's a Frisbee,
it really is.
It's not as effective as it at least appears it should be.
Funny enough, the career splits for him in relief and as a starter, pretty negligible. 3.07 ERA career as a starter, over 34 starts, 3.32 ERA in relief. He's never really fully been a reliever in his career. I saw somebody in the chat, NS says May wants that starting pitching money. My dude is entering, the 6th year with big league time, barely getting $2.1 million in arbitration. Like, he is a long way from getting a bag.
Yeah, he's a free agent after next year. So, or he's a free agent next year in 2026.
Okay.
So,
I mean, he has a good season one way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah, no matter what he does, even if he's an all-star this year, he's not getting big starting pitcher money. It's just because everyone's going to stay away because of his injury history.
Yeah. But, hey, in this league, man, if he does have a good season, maybe he does find a way to tell us we're all wrong. He does find a way to stay a starter, stay in the Dodgers rotation, throw up 24 starts in the year. Maybe he finds a way to get himself a decent little bag, a decent little prove-it bag. He's still young. I mean, he's 27 this year. He'll be pitching. He just turned 27 in September, so he'll be he'll be 27 for just about the entirety of the 2025 season. He can get himself some money, and the best path to money is have a good season as a starter, find a way to somehow put together 120 innings, and you're going to get yourself $18-20 million somewhere, whether it be on a 1-year deal, 2-year deal, whatever the hell it is, more likely a 2-year deal. He's just got to prove he can be healthy, and he has not done that in his career. That said, hey, Dodgers are in a good spot. I mean, this is the type of dude, if you can buy somebody with high upside for just $2.1 million on a 1-year deal, there's no such thing as a bad 1-year deal. You love to still have Dustin May around, but if he's somebody where, again, we're looking at him, if Tony Gonsolin's your number 3 guy in our hypothetical starting rotation right now, and Dustin May's your hypothetical number 4, I feel really scared about the Dodgers' chances in 2025. But thankfully, again, they're working. Jenny Vega bringing up Landon Knack. He's going to be another one of those guys. I have less faith in him as a long-term starting solution than I do with Tony Gonsolin, but he's still somebody who's around. He has decent upside stuff, but I think his ceiling as a Dodger is probably Ross Stripling.
Man,
for Landon Knack.
Chicken strip was good.
That's what I said. That's his ceiling.
I don't even know if it's that high. If I'm honest, I don't know if it's that high.
Well, those are those thoughts. One last thing. I wanted to talk Gavin Lux real quick because he is somebody that we were anticipating seeing some sort of contract. MLB trade rumors had projected a contract in the neighborhood of $2.7 million in arbitration, but no deal was reached for the team or with the team and Gavin Lux. And this one's just a little bit of fun for all of us because we've already been talking about, Gavin Lux potentially being traded this offseason with Mookie Betts moving back to the infield. And sorry, Kevin, it will be second base. Listen. Oh, shit. You know what? I have Bobby Miller so blocked out of my mind. It's absurd. But N Rock says Bobby Miller will be back. I agree with that. He will be back.
But he'll be the fifth. He'll be however many pitchers they have, he'll be the last one.
Steve, we're not saying trade Gonsolin. We're talking about trade Gavin Lux. But go ahead and complete your thought there on B-Milled.
Oh, no, that's the whole thought is however many pitchers they have, he is N+1 pitcher. Yeah.
Of all of them, he is one of them. I do agree with that one. But, Gavin Lux, I was a lot more firm in my stance that they would trade him this offseason 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now I'm feeling less like they will do that, less like they'll go that route. I really don't think they would do the thing where Mookie Betts is trying to play shortstop again just because of a myriad of reasons. But at the same time, if they're like, hey, Gavin, do you want to try short again? Or Gavin, we want you to try short again. Then again, I get these fears, these uncomfortable feelings. Like our buddy Scott Gearman said when he joined me on Dodgers territory yesterday, he said, my stomach is feeling too many meal on Thanksgiving. Let's say trade. Are we letting him play or DFA? I'm bringing it back. Let him play or DFA. What do you think happens with Gavin Lux, man?
Second baseman.
Shaking my head.
I'm not getting off that train.
He's
the second baseman.
Shaking my head.
Let him play. Let him be the second baseman. Why not? I don't know. I'm still firmly on Mookie Betts as the shortstop. Give him the offseason to learn the position.
Why not both?
Until they trade Gavin, I'm firmly on Mookie Betts as the shortstop. Gavin Lux is playing 2B.
God, we really need to talk to somebody with the organization. I want to know their thoughts. Could be something coming up. I'll just say we're working on something on Dodgers territory. Alana's working on something, so stay tuned because we might have a high-ranking executive joining the show where I will 1,000% just accost him with Gavin Lux and Mookie Betts infield questions. But anyways, there is your news of the day, guys. There's your important non-tender news. There is more news coming up in Kevin's Dodger news dump. But first, I wanted to tell folks here. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet. Once again, it really does help out the show, helps out the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you can. Mash that heart button in the chat if you're watching here live. All the engagement helps the channel grow. And also, we love hanging out with you. Love talking with you guys. Good crowd here on this Friday night. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you're looking for a different way to support the show financially, we do have Patreon set up. We do have YouTube members set up. $5 a month. You can help support independent Dodgers coverage. And at the same time, you get access to our Discord server where we're talking about Dodgers. We're talking about hot stove and trades all day long, all off season long. We're also working on another fan meetup, our little group of people that's growing. Really good community going on in Discord now. We got a meetup coming in December that will be Discord supporters only. So check it out if you want to. But again, if you don't want to support with $5 a month, subscribing and watching the show absolutely goes a long way in helping support. But Kevin, it's time for your world famous Dodger news dump until you come up with another name, because I threw this your way. Why don't you let it eat a little bit here, bud?
Yeah. So I think it was last night or 2 nights ago, Shohei Ohtani was unanimously voted as the MVP. He's the 15th. It's the Dodgers' 15th MVP award, and he is the 13th different player. Roy Campanella won it in 3 different times. So congratulations, Shohei. He's the only player in baseball, basketball, football, and hockey to have 3 unanimous MVP awards. No other player has more than 1 in any of the big 4 sports in baseball or in America. So that's pretty cool. As somebody who hates really specific stats, that's a very general one that I really can get behind. So it's crazy what he did in 1 year with the Dodgers. Can't wait for 9 more years of it. Going back to a little bit of the contract news, Teoscar Hernandez very predictably rejected his qualifying offer. If he signs with another team for any amount, the Dodgers will gain a pick at the end of the 4th round, which is not nothing. The Dodgers do very well in the draft, so any additional picks the Dodgers get, I think it only benefits them. That, of course, is if he doesn't come back, and I think most people in Dodger land nation, this fiefdom, would prefer Teoscar be back with the club. Today it was announced that Miguel Rojas underwent successful groin/sports hernia surgery. He didn't have to worry about his status for next year. I believe it was either like right after the World Series or the day after. Brandon Gomes gave him a call and said, "Hey, don't worry about it. We're going to pick up your option. We want you back." He's just going to be massively important, especially with Mookie Betts moving back into the infield. Again, having somebody like a Miguel Rojas, Tommy Edman, those are resources that can only benefit the club, and I think everybody here at this point has embraced Miguel Rojas. He showed he can have some offensive success after being arguably like one of the worst batters back in 2023. So we're all happy to have him back. Hopefully he gets a little bit healthier, and can pick up basically where he left off last year. And then the last bit of news, this was announced like 10 or 15 minutes ago. The Dodgers have named Chris Woodward as their new first base coach. Woodward was with the team in an analyst role or a scouting role. Before that, he was the Rangers manager from 2019 to 2022. And then before that, he was actually the Dodgers' third base coach from 2016 to 2018, where they made back-to-back World Series. So it's good to have Woodward back into the fold. Another slight wrinkle with this is now Dino Ebel's going to be working with the outfielders, and Woodward's going to be working with the infielders. So Dino Ebel is going to take over for McCullough's, or he's going to take over McCullough's role working with the outfielders. Not quite sure what that means or how much impact that's going to have on the players. It sounds like for all intents and purposes, the Dodgers are going to be pretty veteran in the outfield one way or another, potentially with a Pages or a Rushing. But I think that's, generally speaking, this is something where it's pretty player-led. I do think, though, that means that Ebel's going to be responsible for the positioning of the players. Probably of the outfielders during the games. So we'll see how he does with that. Obviously, I'm sure the organization will give him every tool necessary to make sure he succeeds in that role. So that's all we've got for today.
I like Woody getting that infield role back, the infield coach role back. I'm pretty sure it's going to be extremely fluid either way between those two guys. But, of course, Justin Turner credits and Corey Seager credit a lot Chris Woodward for their growth as infield defenders at shortstop and at third base. He was very good at his job before he left to go become manager for 2 years, whatever it was, with the Rangers. So he was already around. Makes sense. And Woody, welcome back. We'll give Chris Woodward the clap. All right.
Wait, what? Pause.
Do you want to pause? Hey, I'll add one last one in here just for fun. Former Dodger catcher / infielder / walk-off hero Kyle Farmer signs a 1-year deal with the Colorado Rockies, or is closing in on a deal with the Colorado Rockies. I love K Farm. He's a good dude. But if that's your hot stove leadoff, we got another guy who might be quasi-important to people. Let's talk Juan Soto, where today a report surfaced reportedly laying out Juan Soto's rumored contract demands this offseason. So if these are true, the question is, how does this affect the Dodgers? But the report from Ryan Spader on Twitter tweeted about another report from a fella named Marino Pepin, who is apparently like a broadcaster analyst. At this time of year, you got to be really careful with some of these rumors, so we'll take this. I'll put the grain of salt meter up here. But Mario Pepin doing Red Sox commentary, I guess we'll say, in Spanish. Ryan Spader saying that Soto's camp is looking for 12 to 14 years at $44 million a year with opt-outs. Here's the big one. Opt-out fourth seasons. Now, a lot of Dodgers fans on Twitter saw the opt-outs after 3 and 4, saw the money, and started salivating a good little bit, because if we're talking Juan Soto for 3 or 4 seasons at a high dollar rate, all of a sudden, your boy is all the way in on Juan Soto. Thanks for stopping by, Teoscar Hernandez. But what do you think of this whole thing? Do you buy into this, grain of salt report about, 12 to 14? What is it? If it's 14 at 45, that's like $630 million.
Yeah,
is Juan Soto a $630 million player?
No, I don't think so. He's amazing. He's arguably the best pure hitter baseball has. He's 26 years old, but he's also projected out to be a DH at a point. So you're going to get some lean years at the end of that contract where you're still paying him $45 million to, basically be Albert Pujols. Like I'm not saying he might not age that poorly, but that's kind of what you're looking at. So I think a lot of people saw the Pujols contract and knew from the jump it wasn't great. I know it's not a 1-to-1 comparison, but that's kind of the career trajectory Soto's going to have. Eventually he's going to move from the outfield to the infield and then eventually just be a DH. If it's true, I'm all in just like you. I have my doubts. This kind of screams like they're saying this so the Dodgers are like more interested, or it looks like the Dodgers are a more realistic possibility.
That's interesting.
Because we know the Dodgers like short, high AAV contracts. So if you leak this and all of a sudden, oh man, the Dodgers are a real possibility, maybe Uncle Stevie goes, oh, well, let's just not even let that be an option. Let's not even, I know they already met with him, but let's not even let it get to that point. And here's just an obscene deal because now we definitely have to outbid the Dodgers. So that's where my mind kind of always goes. But if they wanted to front load a contract, if they wanted to give him 12 years, at a $45 million AAV, but have it like be $55 or $60 million a year at the front,
super front loaded.
Yeah, that like I'm all in on that, like all day. Like, sure, go for it. Not my money. Who cares? But I don't really know if that's what he wants to do because, they talk about him being able to go back into free agency at the age of 30. Again, when he re-enters free agency at the age of 30, he might just be a first baseman or he might only be a DH at that point. And that could theoretically hurt his market. So I really don't know how much I believe this report, but if it's true, yeah, go get him.
Yeah, I like the angle there of we knew the Dodgers in this offseason, they were going to be used. They have all this money. They're making a bunch of money when it comes to like advertising and whatever they make with Ohtani and Yamamoto in the fold. They can afford Juan Soto, no problem. But again, the problems and the longevity, how long that contract is what makes it a bit more frightening to consider committing to. If you're able to get the next few prime years of Juan Soto, almost like, I was going to make the stupid a lazy like Adrian Beltre comparison where he got the 4 or 5 year deal with Seattle and then went on to, still go do great things. Of course, he was a premium defender as well. At third base. But hepatitis C you later in the chat says, we need Soto badly. I mean, Soto absolutely changes the complexion of this lineup, a lineup that was already one of the best offensive units last year, does not have Teoscar Hernandez in the mix right now. It can eventually get him back if they don't, if Soto isn't the route. It will be good again either way because I think one of those guys comes back. I think Teoscar is probably in the mix, but the Dodgers being pawns in this to try to either get the Red Sox to pony up more dough, and with this initial report coming from a Red Sox source,
I would love if you said.
And then also the Mets trying to get the most out of Mets and Steve Cohen, because I still fully agree. I still fully believe with my soul that Steve Cohen won't be outbid, and if it takes like a 6-year deal worth $60 million a year or whatever with opt-outs after year 3 and 4, I think he still could potentially go that route and be okay with it. But at the end of the day, it's still difficult for me to see the Dodgers landing him just because of the Steve Cohen factor. It is a lot of money. It's a lot of commitment. But if it is an opt-out after 3 or 4 years, it helps. That definitely helps. Yeah, However, absolutely. But what happens if he's hurt or he breaks down or he becomes even more unplayable in the outfield, even though some people will say he was better than Teoscar Hernandez. He wasn't better where it counts in here, wherever your human hearts are at.
He's also playing in the tiny-ass right field at Yankee Stadium.
He's also playing. That's a really good point.
They put him in right field at Yankee Stadium because his defense was that bad. And he still let balls get over his head. So just everybody understand, if he plays for the Dodgers in left field, which is huge comparatively,
it will not be
get ready for that.
It will not be a very pretty sight for Dodgers fans. But the bat helps. Let's see what Hepatitis See You Later is saying. Also, if you guys are fine with Taylor Outman Pages for 2025, what they have, much like we're talking about starting pitching a little bit ago, what they have on roster for the outfield right now with Mookie moving into the infield, it's not a good situation, and they're not going to, go to opening day with Dalton Rushing on the roster. We know very little about Dalton Rushing as a major league player, so even to say oh man, if we feel really good with Rushing, Taylor, Outman, and Pages or whatever the hell it is as the core 4 out there, that's still there's a lot of bit to be desired there. So you need to bring back Teoscar, or you need to be in on Juan Soto. I still. Again, at this kind of price, and I fully agree with the idea that it's not my money, but at this kind of price, this kind of more so the years of commitment, if you're able to get Juan Soto at that deal, you got to go in. You got to go to do it. You got to go to that price because he helps you. You get Juan Soto and a pitcher this offseason. I don't care what you say. In the minimum 3 years that Juan Soto would be a Dodgers. Dodgers are winning 2 of those World Series. That's a fact. Put your money on it. Go to Bet Online. Put your money.
Yeah. BC saying he's not generational. Man, I go look at his BREF page. Go look at his StatCast page. It's red all over the place. That dude, he was raking in the World Series. He just didn't have any help from anybody else. It's just anybody who's saying, I think part of it is we haven't watched him every single day, but go look at his pages. Go watch them. He is incredible. He's an incredible player. Now, somebody pointed out, imagine winning the World Series and saying we need him. I don't think the Dodgers need Juan Soto. I think he'd be an absolute luxury. However,
that's fair.
I'm all for it because it increases their chances of going back to back. So bring it on.
Yeah, you need one of them. You need an outfielder. You need either him or Teoscar. I like Teoscar because he's a righty, and he's
somebody.
Potentially
being rumored to be traded.
Okay. You want to do this now? You
just get it out of the way.
All right. Okay, I like Teoscar. I'll pin it on this. I like Teoscar because he's a right-handed bat. Yes. Sure, you can fit another lefty bat in the lineup. And, hey, guys, it's been a while since we've had a good Cody Bellinger rumor out there.
Like home. It's like a warm hug.
You feel right at home. So the Cubs are reportedly looking to trade Cody Bellinger, and that pretty not great contract. Now, there was a point at the trade deadline last year where maybe a Belly return would have made a little bit of sense. Last offseason, less so a return making some sense. People still want, everybody just can't get over the past. People just want to have all the guys that were here in 17 and 18 and 20. Why not sign JT and have him play nothing? JT should have been the first base coach. But Cody Bellinger, I believe the rumors. I believe that the Cubs will be trying to trade him because they have a bunch of dudes, a bunch of talent, expensive aging talent, they're paying a lot of money, anyway. And they have an outfield. Yeah, they're potentially moving him to first base. Where they also have Michael Busch on the cheap. Diane Schroeder saying no thanks to Cody. Thank you, Diane. But if there is a moment in time where a reunion makes sense, outfield wise, right field wise, where he won a Gold Glove with the Dodgers in 2019, this is one of those times. What do you think about a Cody Bellinger reunion?
It comes down to price. If the Cubs are willing to eat a good chunk of that contract, like a third of it, yeah, I'm all for it. I don't think he'd be expensive prospect wise. Could be a situation where, you give up like Chris Taylor and a prospect for Cody, and Chris Taylor's just, they take on his contract, we take on Cody's. That's how you offset the money a little bit. Sure. This is, like you said, the time where it makes the most sense. Cody would play right field, not center. His defense has taken a step back, so his arm is still great, so he can still play a competent right field. The concerns are his bat regressed significantly last year. I think he OPS somewhere in the mid to slightly high 700s. The contact quality and the contact rate was pretty bad. If you look at his StatCast page, there's a lot of blue. The one really interesting part about it, though, is he's cut down a lot on his strikeouts. So his strikeout rate's like 17%, where I think with the Dodgers, it was like 31. So he's cut them like nearly in half. That's interesting because if you could find a happy medium where, yeah, his strikeout rate ticks back up, but he's getting better contact, he's all of a sudden quite intriguing. Now, again, it comes down to price. Mm-hmm. What would be really cool, I've been mulling this over in my head, is if the Cubs eat a good portion of his contract, we could get like a Soto, Edman, Belly outfield, and you could live with that. That is an outfield and a half. Though that's some premier bats. And also, but if they bring Bellinger back into the fold, he's not hitting fourth. He's hitting like seventh.
That's a really good point.
He's going to be at the bottom of that lineup because he's not hitting above max. He's certainly not hitting above. Well, he might hit above Edman because he'll bat ninth. The only he hit seventh, above Gavin Lux, maybe, if he's still around, he's above Pajes, maybe. He's going to be at the bottom of that lineup. They're not going to ask too much of him. So it's intriguing, but it would have to be at a price that you can kind of live with.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good word I'm going to jump off of right there. Intriguing. Intriguing is the word I would use. At this moment in time, a reunion makes sense. I don't think there'll be in on Juan Soto. I do think a Teoscar reunion is pretty likely. On Teoscar Hernandez for a second, John Morosi, who we already talked a bunch about Morosi on Monday. So again, grain of salt meter right there. But Morosi, in Morosi's mind, the top two candidates to sign Teoscar Hernandez are the Dodgers and the Red Sox right now, and that kind of tracks. But if we're talking about Cody Bellinger right now, and just listing that outfield that we had said earlier, and I agree more with what Kevin said there, that most likely Edman will be in the mix in the outfield because I think they find a shortstop option somewhere along the way. But if not, Tommy Edman's going to be that guy. But Edman being in the mix, Andy Pajes was good when he was good last year. Maybe there is a world where it's kind of a offset of bad contracts. Maybe we bring Chris Taylor into this trade equation. What do you think about that? You get rid of CT3, you bring in Belly. How many more years? Belly has 2 more years on the deal, right? Is that where will he signed, or is this?
No, he has this year, and then one he has a player option.
Player option. Okay. Yeah. So, again, if you're looking for somebody in right field, and then they do bring back Teoscar Hernandez, it's you have Teo in left, you have Belly in right. I think the thing I don't like about it is I just hate the reunion for the sake of a reunion. His final couple years were bad. I think
terrible. Not just bad, terrible.
Very terrible. It ended a little sour. It ended 2 years ago with the non-tender. 3 years ago with the non-tender. If we're talking, huh? Well, yeah, it's fair.
He got benched in the playoffs.
It's fair. Yeah, they were fair to do it because they were kind of done with him. He didn't want to implement a lot of their changes. He kept reverting back to his old style. He didn't fit the mold anymore. Maybe now, a couple years later, he fits the mold a little bit more. I would still rather see the Dodgers in on other outfielders, other options. Maybe some sort of bigger trade with the other Chicago team. Go get Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. Bring him aboard and have a true center fielder. So there are some options, but we'll say this. Bob Student-Tence's reunion at a discount price, a reasonable price, both in terms of money and players going back. I can agree with that. But, Cody returning for the sake of Cody returning, I'm out. I don't see it happening.
I don't think this is for the sake of a reunion, though. I don't think the Dodgers are about to do that. I think they know. Hey, this is like they clearly know it's their window because they just won the World Series. Hey guys, spoiler alert. So they would only do it if they truly believe that Bellinger improves the roster. Yeah. And with a need in right field, he could theoretically improve the roster. A year ago, it didn't make a ton of sense. 2 years ago, it definitely didn't. That's why they non-tendered him. But right now, with the hole there, with the need. Yeah, it makes more sense than it has in the past. So, yeah, I don't think this is a reunion for the sake of reunion, albeit there are much better options. I would much prefer to see Teoscar back. I, for one, am totally okay with an outfield that includes, Teoscar. I still think Edman's going to play mostly in center field. Him, maybe Kike, CT will split time there. But I'm fine with Teoscar, those three guys, and then a platoon of Rushing and Pages. I think that is a perfectly... I would be totally okay if that is the opening day roster and that's the opening day plan. There are better options than Bellinger, but he's not the worst option right now.
Yeah, right now. That's the thing right now, looking at what they have. But, Teoscar or Soto completely changed that equation. Still got some offseason to go, guys. And nobody's going to pick up Cody Bellinger that hastily from the Cubs. Nando 390 saying Bellinger over CT3 all day. I agree with that, and if you could make some sort of switch in that regard, I would feel a lot better about the state of the roster because even like you said, he's not batting third or fourth anymore. We're talking about a dude who's 6, 7, 8 in the lineup, has some power upside. He has performed here in LA, but I don't want to sit here trying to talk myself into a Cody Bellinger reunion.
I don't. We're not in the business of doing that. We can't be in the business of talking ourselves really into anybody.
That's fair.
We're winning. This is winning time.
Yeah. Plus, we're not the front office, so we can't make these moves, guys.
Don't tell them that.
All right, we'll move on from Bellinger talk. Hopefully, we don't get too many more rumors of this throughout the offseason. But before we get into voicemails, we do have a couple of voicemails. I think we have a text as well on the hotline. Guys, if you want to call in future episodes, do call in 562-373-4095. But I want to talk some more Blake Snell because we've had a lot of discussion in Discord over the last week. To bunch today, but talking Snell versus Max Fried versus Corbin Burns, and we know the Dodgers are going to be in on the Corbin Burns market. They are going to be in on the Max Fried market, but they appear to be heavily in on the Blake Snell market. They've already met. John Heyman said today in a report that the Dodgers quote like Snell a lot. I, too, like Blake Snell a lot at this stage in his career. That's the big thing. He's 32. I think his kind of ups and downs from the early stages of his career are past. Last year, his downs were mainly because he was not ready to pitch when opening day happened because he signed 5 days before opening day? It was more like 2 weeks. Even so, he's somebody that's available. In my opinion, the more I think about it, the more I look at the numbers for a myriad of reasons. I am Blake Snell over everybody else. Even Corbin Burnes. Corbin Burnes has been very good in his postseason career, very good in his career since moving into the starting rotation. But there's something to me about Blake Snell. I love the left-handed factor. I love the ability to punch. He would, I think, immediately become, the most dangerous strikeout weapon the Dodgers have in the rotation. That's without looking up any, numbers or stats. Just feels like it. The dude's been nasty when he's on. He's a fucking 2-time Cy Young Award winner. People trying to, clamor for, and I'm not trying to specifically single out Showtime LA here in the chat, but the people pushing harder for Max Fried because of the consistency. What I said earlier in the chat was there are two guys pitching-wise that are elite that are available, that are natural free agents, not like Sasaki. Two guys standalone as elite. It's Blake Snell and Corbin Burnes, and then there's the Hall of Very Good, which is Max Fried, and then there's a bunch of other broken parts and people with question marks and all of this. Those are the three guys. If you don't get one of those top two, I kind of, at this point, don't care about Max Fried. I would rather go a different route. You had mentioned Shane Bieber a couple weeks ago, much to the chagrin of a number of people. I'd rather see them find another piece or whatever. But anyways, talk Blake Snell. What do you feel about Blake Snell now as we get deeper into the offseason, and more so we're hearing more rumors linking the Dodgers to Snell?
Yeah, I think for me it's a 1A, 1B between Snell and Burnes. Mm-hmm. I think the difference in recency bias is Burnes' stuff has declined over the last 3 years. His strikeout rate's gone down. Granted, there was potentially the Orioles asked him to emphasize ground balls last year, and so that cut into his strikeout rate. I think the last 2 months of the season, those numbers ticked back up. Like you said, he's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, but he's also got some years in there where you don't love.
19 was bad.
He's got a couple ERAs that start with 4, which with the amount of money he could potentially be getting, that's a tough pill to swallow. If they're giving him $35 million a year and he posts, which he's done, a 4.29 ERA. That's a bad contract. You're paying this guy to be a low 3s, high 2 guy, which he can be, but it's not guaranteed. So that's the concern. However, I mean, he currently has the highest strikeout per 9 of any starting pitcher ever. He has gold on his BREF page. He's not just elite. He is the strikeout guy of this era, of any era. 11.2 strikeouts per 9. That's incredible as a starter. He was good at the end of last year, which I like. If we're looking at, you're paying for future production, not past production. But he was at least good and didn't have dirt and all that. Fits the Dodgers in terms of contract. He's going to look for a shorter contract because that's where he's at. I believe he's 32 years old right now, or he's 31 years. He'll be 32 years old in 9 days or something like that, 8 days. Yeah. So happy birthday, Blake Snell. So he'll be 32 next year. A 4-year deal, 3-year deal, 3+1. Yeah, absolutely. You can see why the Dodgers are intrigued with that, because this is like we've been talking about their window. Their window is the next 3 to 4 years. Like a true, with Mookie Betts in his prime, with Shohei Ohtani. You've got a few more years with Freddie Freeman. This is, if you want to maximize that window, a guy like Blake Snell could definitely do it, because then when that window closes, you lose a Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts is on the tailor end, or trending towards the end of that contract. Well, Blake Snell's money comes off the books, and you can go pursue somebody else. That's where I like it. His contract lines up with the window, and his stuff is just absolutely filthy. It's probably it's easily the best stuff in the free agency class. It's not really that close either.
And I feel like right now, that's what we're looking for. That's what this team needs to be looking for. It needs to be looking for the upper echelon of elite, not just somebody who's going to fill a bunch of innings, because the reality is there are a lot of dudes kind of laying around, in weight. If we're talking about your Robleskis, your eventually a Nick Frasso, Emmett Sheehan, they're not going to have trouble eventually if he comes back this year. I'm talking more so, particularly this coming season in 25. You don't need a 180 to 200 inning guy, especially if you're going 6-man rotation. And a lot of the other pieces that are going to slowly become available as the Dodgers keep unlocking more players as the season goes along. Give me that dude who can stand up there at the top of the rotation where you have 3 like bona fide number 1 guys with him, with Yamamoto, with Shohei, and you have a number 1B with Tyler Glasnow. If you have those 4 dudes available, or if any of them are hurt, you feel that much, better, and you still have a Kershaw, maybe a Buehler returns. We don't even know. We haven't talked to any Sasaki at this point in the show, what that eventually looks like. Like, to have that dude, like you're saying, the top of the threshold of strikeout stuff. He's been good in his career in the postseason as well. 3.3, I think it's a 3.33 ERA in like 60 some odd innings. Snell has, postseason wise. Max Fried, by the way, 5.1 ERA in the postseason. That gives me some pause as well. But this is the offseason where the Dodgers need to be operating at the top of the market if they're bringing people in. If not, they can kind of play around and maybe look at the trade market or whatever. Maybe that is a Garrett Crochet or something like that. But again, for me, sitting here right now, this is the offseason of Blake Snell. And we've talked about Snell for so many fucking years now.
They've wanted him for a while.
They almost were, they were trying to be in on him heavily late last offseason as well. Just makes a lot of sense. For him too. Yeah, and they tried to trade for him. So,
a 4-year contract would also line up with Tyler Glasnow's. So you'd have Glasnow's money come off. You'd have Snell's money come off at the same time. There's a lot to like. I think he fits really well as a player. Money-wise, there's, with somebody like a Burns, he's great. He's an absolute workhorse. He's a definition of a workhorse. But there's going to be some lean years at the end, and you start hesitating on stuff like that. Whereas Snell, you're not really going to have that many lean years at the end because it's
he's already there. Like, he's already in, like, he's as old as he's gonna get until he starts getting older. He's as young as he's gonna get. Like he's I know that's breaking news right there, but he's already learned. Like, he's gone through his down years. He's gone through the 4+ ERA years. After winning that Cy Young in 2019, he had a bad year in his first year with the Padres, changing leagues, all that kind of stuff. Now I think he's a complete pitcher. He's figured it out, in my opinion. Blake Snell has figured it out at this point in his life.
Yep. Yeah, and he's cut his walks down quite a bit, which is always good. They're always going to be a bugaboo for him, but you can live with the walks if you've got punch, and he's obviously got punch. And with the Dodgers defense and how good they are defensively, just in general, he doesn't have to rely on it if he doesn't want to. So you always trust Mark Pryor in the pitching lab to, help. And maybe this is one of the few guys that just say, hey, man, we got nothing for you. Just do what you're doing already.
Go do your thing. Or somehow you make him better and you turn him into consistent, low 3s, maybe mid-2s guys. Guy, it could happen here whenever you get into the lab with Mark Pryor and company. DM24 is over talking about Snell, and I kind of agree. We've talked a lot about Snell this offseason, but when there is new rumors, there's a reason to reopen the conversation, and that's what we're here to do. Have real, honest conversation about these players, and I think with each day, each week, I asked you early in the offseason, Kevin, I had asked, take the emotion out of it with Walker Buehler. Like, should he be back? Will he be back? And even then I was feeling more so like maybe let him go. As we got another week ahead, I was like, no, I really want Walker Buehler back. Please let him come back. And now I'm feeling like, oh crap, I think somebody else is going to pick him up. So quickly, let's talk Walker Buehler rumors, because Buehler now has been linked to the New York Yankees, the team that he punched out. Old friend Alex Verdugo. Oakland apparently also trying to talk to him. He doesn't really necessarily want to give the A's the time of day. I think you're a better chance he comes back to a Dodgers for free than pitching for the Oakland A's. But with the Yankees, there is a reported mutual interest, this per John Morosi. So again, grain of salt meter. I'll throw two questions out right now. Really one question, because we know, as Walker Buehler told us, he told everybody, I'm a problem right now. I like the Walker that we saw there in that postseason. I think he's closer. He feels he's better than he's ever been. Debatable. But if we're at this point right now, is it in Walker's best interest to come back to LA, or is it in his best interest to maybe move somewhere else where he has more of an opportunity innings-wise to further reestablish himself, reestablish that value? I'm feeling more like, if we're talking about all these names, and we're talking about maybe a Blake Snell, maybe there's a Roki Sasaki, we know Emmett Sheehan's coming back. Eventually, that roster of names, Dustin May in there, Tony Gonsolin in there, Nick Frasso, Justin Robleski, all of these names, the depth starts to get really deep on that starting pitch. Clayton Kershaw, where do the innings come for Walker Buehler? So I'll ask you, is his best chance to further reestablish that value away from LA?
I don't think so. I think you can add, because this assumes that they're all healthy, and every year we do the same dance. Oh my God, look at the depth this Dodgers pitching staff has, and then by the middle of May, we're like, oh my God, the whole bullpen's on fire.
Fair.
Heads are rolling off, arms are falling off. Every year it's the same. It's the same song and dance. The innings will be there for a guy like Walker Buehler. Not to mention, the playoff opportunities will probably be there for Walker Buehler. And I think he needs that. And I think it's also in his best interest so let's say he does leave. He goes to the Yankees. No offense to the Yankees. When I think of teams that are good at developing pitchers, the Yankees don't really cross my mind. The Dodgers do. If he wants not just quantity of innings, but quality of innings, good quality outings that really reestablish his market, goes to the postseason, does the same thing he did last year, does it again next year. Now you've really got a market. But if he goes to like the Cardinals, God forbid, and he throws up a high threes, mid fours ERA, he's not really going to do much. But if he does it in Dodger blue, and then does what he does in the postseason, then he's got a real market. So I think it's best for him to stay. Now, I don't know what's best for him, like literally, because I'm not him. We've never interacted, believe it or not. But I would believe, in terms of from a developmental standpoint, that he stay with the Dodgers. Those innings will be there. I promise you. We don't know when Kershaw is going to come back. We don't know what he's going to look like. We thought he was going to come back last year, and then all of a sudden his toe exploded. We don't know what Emmett Sheehan's going to look like. Tony Gonsolin is going to be 100% healthy until he breaks his ankle on the outfield grass again in spring training. Shit happens. Yeah. So those innings will be there.
Glasnow not finishing the season healthy.
Yeah.
Yamamoto missing 3 months. Shohei Ohtani missing the entire 2024 season as a pitcher. Bobby Miller, brain MIA. He lost, pitching.exe file not found when it came to Bobby Miller in 2024. I appreciate it. I saw that was a slow burn for you. I thought that was a good joke. Yeah, I hope. I do think we're getting to the voicemails right now, Diane. I do hope Walker Buehler does return. I do kind of I'm sort of on the fence right now about where the best destination or if LA is the best destination for him to continue rebuilding that money making ability. Because I mean, if it was after 2021, he would have got the bag. He would have been somebody who was probably looking at Corbin Burns money. But after missing down half of 22, thanks Max Scherzer, you piece of shit.
Want to go for that.
Kenny Chung saying 15 to 17 million should land Walker. I agree. I think it will be probably 15 with incentives, a 1-and-1. There'll be a player option or a mutual option sort of situation. And hopefully it's with the Dodgers. But as of now, the Yankees have interest. I think there's some also like going to the Mets makes some sense for him. Depends on what he wants to do. He you watch that Mookie Betts podcast. He says, that's where his happy zone is being in the postseason. He's gonna be looking at teams that give him that option, give him that opportunity, and there are a few teams better at doing that than the boys in blue. Plus, I like what Osterberg said a little bit ago in the chat. He said that if he leaves, Hershiser's gonna want his jersey back. So, Walker, you got to stay home, buddy. True. All right, we'll move on. We got some voicemails. We haven't done voicemails this week, so we got a couple here to end the week. And a text. So a text, I don't really know what to do with text yet, but I'm gonna read it. I guess that's one thing to do, and it was from our friend Denny Cortez. Where did you go? It went away. That was kind of weird. Oh, okay. No. Okay. She sent a new one tonight, guys. This is breaking news. Apparently, I'm just reading texts here. I'll find a way to clip them and get them on the show. But Denny says, good evening, Clint Nation and Dodgers fam. Just have one thought tonight. After Ohtani-san starts the 50-50 club and breaks all kinds of records and wins the World Series and MVP, how the hell does he top it next year? How does Ohtani top the insane year that we saw? And I'll answer that. I'll answer that for you. I'm going to take this one. With a Cy Young and an MVP. That's how he does it. That's how he does it. And you know what? Credit where credit's due. Very rarely do we hear a good question from Harold Reynolds on MLB Network. But he did ask Ohtani that. It's like, when's the Cy Young coming or whatever, or how important would that be to you? That's the next move. Cy Young Award winner, MVP, sweep the awards, baby. Hell, we'll throw in I guess he could technically win a Silver Slugger. I don't know if he'd do it like as a pitcher. I don't know. But that's how you top it. That's how Ohtani tops it. That said, let's listen to a voicemail from our friend Noah, as you know.
Well, what up, guys? It's Noah, as you know. And I got to say, guys, I'm still hashtag no Soto. Mostly because of the years. Because I want to be committed to a guy that can't play defensively for like 10 years. However, though, there are rumors online on Twitter, or as people call it, the X now, and that is that he's okay with coming to the Dodgers in a short-term deal with a high AV. I would be so down for that. It's mostly the commitment in years that worry me. And other than that, though, guys, I'm Team Snell. I want Blake Snell. Give me that strikeout nasty stuff. Give me that durability and give me a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Plus a guy that threw a no-hitter last year. Because I'll gladly take him, because I don't want the years that Corbin Burns is probably going to ask for. And Max Fried, he has a long, long history of injuries. Like, here's a fun fact. He got Tommy John surgery when he was younger in the minor leagues. So one more TJ, and he is going to have to be a completely different pitcher, similar to how Walker Buehler had to turn into one. So I'm all for Blake Snell. And other than that, though, guys, I'm pretty sure that we can all agree on something, and that is fuck the Dodger Stadium parking lot. Okay? Have a good night, everybody. I will not be in the chat. I'll be listening. See ya.
Hey, there's our friend Noah, as you know. Basically, hey, listen, he knew what the show was going to be before we even talked about it today, apparently. So we're in a good spot there. Just got to start having Noah write the shows. We got a gift also. Here's going to be a gift. Well, first, we did get a super chat, I believe. I don't know if it was Richie. Richie, $1.99 super chat. Thank you very much, Richie. Says, we need healthy arms. Get them all. F it. I mean, you know what?
Not my money.
Not my money. Not my money. DJ Jesse saying Snell and Glasnow reunion would sound good. Hey, those two made when healthy, made a pretty formidable 1-2 punch there in that Tampa Bay rotation at one point. But we do have a gift because I not complained, but we had some beef with Richie after his last voicemail last week, where there was no F anything. There was no F the Dodgers this or that or F Frank McCourt. So he said he was going to let it eat on this voicemail. So, guys, sit back, relax, and listen to Richard Flores. Have a good time for us all.
Well, hey, Clint. Happy Thanksgiving to you. So let's talk about my favorite place in the whole world, or as I like to call it, hell on earth, the Dodger Stadium parking lot. First of all, the people who work in the Dodger Stadium parking lot have an IQ of a handball and a personality of a parking meter. They're not very friendly. They're not very patient, and they just don't have any people skills. When the game is over is when all the fun begins. First of all, you're trying to run to your car because you know what's going to happen if you don't get out there in a timely manner, because just trying to get out of the parking lot alone means you're dodging all these Dodger fans who aren't paying attention to what they're doing. Their faces are buried in the phone, and they walk right in front of your car expecting you to stop, which is not usually a good idea if you do that for me, especially if the Dodgers lose. I'm not in a good mood.
Cars can kill you.
No common sense. Just hundreds of people walking and walking and walking, and there's no crowd control, which even adds to your time trying to get out of the lot. And if you do manage to get into the line to get out, you're stuck in a single file line that they're only allowing 1 or 2 cars to go. And that's the reason why you're stuck in there for 3 hours trying to get out. Nobody has common sense. Nobody has courtesy. And you wind up being stuck next to a car that's either bumping Nickelback or Wilson Phillips, just to make matters worse, to just essentially lose more brain cells that I have. And then if you finally get into the ballpark on a bobblehead day and somebody shows up 3 innings later, you need to hear it from the wife all night, bitching and moaning how we should have left early, and they get there in the 3rd inning, and then they wonder why they didn't get a Shohei bobblehead. So fuck the Dodger Stadium parking lot. Fuck Juan Soto. Bring back Teo. Fuck Manny Machado. Fuck the Padres. And for the love of God, fuck the Ghost Runner. See ya.
Oh, Richie. He let it eat. And also, listen, I got more parking lot secrets I can give out there, but I don't know. I already gave away too many to my old job. So for now, we'll just say avoid gate A, avoid gate E. There's your best, secrets to Dodger Stadium. But F it all, and also F Frank McCourt, just for fun. But that's about it. You got anything you want to say before we get the hell out of here, my guy?
No. Let's get this offseason rolling. Let's go.
Hot stove.
Tired.
Get hot.
We're at that spot. There's the 2 lulls. There's the lull before the signings really happen, and then there's the lull where after all the signings have really happened, and we're just waiting for the season to start. So let's just get the offseason going. I want. Give me some players. Let's get excited about some stuff.
Give me good players, living players. Next week is Thanksgiving. Obviously, we will not be here on Thursday. Probably won't be around on Friday, but stay tuned. We'll figure out what the content is going to look like on the channel. I'll definitely be here on Monday. I don't know what Kevin's plan is, but until then, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with us. Thank you for the comments, tubing in, the questions. Thank you for watching, listening, all that kind of stuff I usually say here to end the show. Again, you guys make the show happen, so we appreciate you hanging out here. It'll also be kind of weird if we're talking to nobody. But we do got to thank our channel members, the Patreon supporters, for helping us continue to bring the best content we're able to put together. This is probably the best we can do, unless we get more money, and then I could hire like a team, and it becomes a whole thing. But anyways, if you're looking for a different way to support the show, join us on patreon.com/realfrg. It's $5 a month, or click the join button here on YouTube members to join via the YouTube members. And you could also join us on Discord, where, hey, if you got show ideas, I'll take them on Discord as well. I think Noah had an idea I got to run with, and Kevin and we got to talk about it at some point. Maybe it's a good conversation for next week where nothing is going to be happening. But winter meetings not too far away. Things will start happening soon. So be ready, support us that way, or subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video at all. Hit the like button if you want every free agent you want to become a Dodger. I think that's how it works. Shout out the mods for doing a kick-ass job in the chat. As always, All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. That is producer Kevin. Give him a follow at Skinner7Kevin on the Twitter, X, I'm RealFRG on all of the things. Links are all in the description. Hopefully we earned a thumbs up on the way out and a subscription on the way out. Subscribing, again, completely free. But until the next time, bye.